One summer moment can change a child's life. Through Toys for Tots Give and Go initiative, your support provides books, games, toys, and outdoor adventures that spark curiosity, creativity, and a love of nature. Whether it's fishing, learning a new sport, reading under a tree, or playing with friends, these moments build confidence and lifelong memories. For too many children, those moments never come. You can help change that this summer. Visit toysfortots.org. Toys for Tots, delivering hope beyond the holidays.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi!
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
That's an interesting interpretation.
Now, I wonder if we interviewed all the socialists, if they would say that the person that invented air conditioning deserves to be a billionaire.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
At least the Nobel Peace Prize, for sure.
But by the way, that, all kidding aside, that to me is one of the things that really gets me. I want the person who finds the real cure for cancer to be a billionaire. I want the person who figures out a way to create a real renewable energy source to be a billionaire. I don't understand. Do these people not understand incentive? I mean, I'm sorry. I'd love to live in the Star Trek world where people just create stuff for no reason, but we need incentive. And as the great Nobel Prize-winning economist Milton Friedman said, the greatest achievements of mankind have come mostly from selfish self-interest, which ends up helping everyone in the end.
Listen, I love billionaires. You know why? Because they had the mind, they had the will, they had the hard work behind them to make it happen. People are criticizing Donald Trump for making $1.2 billion in his crypto, whatever. But guess what? When Michael Bloomberg entered City Hall, he was worth $4 billion. When he left, he was worth $31 billion.
Yeah.
$31 billion.
That's the only 31 that you know of.
Well, now he's worth over $100 billion. But you know what? It's good. Money makes money.
That's right.
Right.
You got to have money to make money, and billionaires have a lot of investments, and the chances for them. I mean, it's part of it's basically having a ticket to the game. And listen, President Trump lost money in his personal wealth during that first term. I didn't see a lot of headlines on MSNBC about that then.
Let's talk about that. They tried to ruin him. They tried to put him in jail. They tried to take away all his money. Michael Cohen, you were his lawyer. You were there. Tell us what happened.
Well, I wasn't there when they were going after. I was actually spending time at Otisville Correctional Facility.
So give us a scenario of what happened in case people forgot.
I'll tell you. One of the things that they did do to Trump is they started with this Russia hoax. And again,
it was all BS.
It's all bull. Every aspect of it was nonsensical. There was the Steele dossier created, which was initially to be opposition research by the Clinton campaign. Hillary Clinton herself took one look at the document by Christopher Steele and said, this is ridiculous. Unverified, uncorroborated information. 13 allegations in that document about me. Who the hell am I? That 13 allegations in this document. Let's see. I went to Prague. I've never been to Prague. I do really want to go. I've never been to the Czech Republic. That I met with Russian compromise on behalf of Trump and the campaign. I went with $10 million in cash. And the goal was to pay off Russian compromise for compromising information on Clinton. My family owns a dacha directly next door to Vladimir Putin. I've never been to Russia. I've never been to Sochi. That my family, my in-laws are, my father-in-law specifically, is the biggest real estate developer in Moscow. My father-in-law has never been to Moscow. He's Ukrainian. There's 13 of these nonsensical. They tried...
And nobody went to jail.
I did.
You went to jail, but nobody on that created all this BS, this bullcrap. None of them went to jail.
No. And
how's that possible?
You're asking the wrong guy. You should have asked at that point in time Sessions or maybe Bill Barr or somebody. We should get them on one of my shows and ask him, because that's a great question. It gets worse. That document was then picked up by John McCain. I write about it in my book, Revenge. That document got picked up by John McCain. who read it and felt, I need to do something with this document. And not because the document had truth or veracity to it, but because it was pounding on Donald Trump. They never wanted him to run. They thought it was a joke. He ends up winning, and now they need to find a way how to rip him away from the office. Everybody, including a whole bunch of Congress members, start immediately with things like, we're going to impeach him. He hasn't even stepped into office. They're already talking about kicking him out. Well, they now turn around and turn that document over to John McCain. John McCain turns it over to, ready for this one, John? James Comey. James Comey then opens up an investigation. Where were you on so-and-so date? Well, I was in Los Angeles. Really, prove it. Well, go speak to the baseball coaches at USC. My son had a tryout. He was a big lefty pitcher. They were like, is that true? Don't take my word for it. Of course, I'm telling you it's the truth. Go speak to the baseball coaches. And so they did. Well, maybe we got the day wrong. What did you do the day after that? I was with Harvey Levin in studio. I know Harvey forever. So
Michael, were you scared through this whole process?
No.
I mean, you weren't scared.
No, because I believe that I had the president behind me. I felt
And
very protected.
what year was that?
That was 2017.
And he was
through
still the
2018.
President.
Of course.
He was just elected.
He was just
2016.
elected.
Yeah.
So now I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is just ridiculous. It goes on and it gets worse because then James Comey turns it over to Andrew Weissman. Andrew Weissman then turns it over to Jeffrey Berman. Jeffrey Berman, for whatever reason, and I still don't know, recuses himself. And then it gets turned over to Robert Kazami. And they then turn it over to these two numbnut prosecutors, Tom McKay and Nicholas Roos. And they come after me. 4.5 months, I keep asking them. 4.5 months, every single day. What are you guys bothering me for? After having 80 federal agents raid my home, the hotel I was staying in because we had a flood damage, my law office, and my safety deposit box, which I only just opened in order to put stuff in because
But you
I
were
was going to have people inside our apartment.
But you were close to the president.
There was no one closer.
There was no one closer to the president of
his
the
lawyer.
United States.
And friend.
And friend.
And again,
Well,
folks,
by the way, he texted me last night, and he told me we're glad we're together this morning.
Ah, there
and
you
this
go.
is, and by the way, for those who are just tuning in, we're talking to Michael Cohen. And Michael, you're giving us all these again, and this has been documented. There's nothing that you just said that wasn't completely documented and proven. But I just want to pull out just a little bit, and I don't even know how much you're aware of this because obviously this is a personal thing for you, and it's hard to see it from a national level. But I want people to understand this isn't just another story of insider political dirty games and these kinds of things happen. Understand that the Russia collusion hoax destroyed families in this country, created divisions between longtime friends, people who got along for many, many years. A lot of people said, like, well, I can't be a friend with someone who supports a president who's a puppet of Russia, even though there's no proof of it. I mean, this tore the country apart.
This tore my family apart.
Yeah.
I'll personalize it. It ripped my family apart. 35 plus years of successful business taken away from me in one shot. Lost my finances, my law license, my reputation, my honor, my family's happiness. How do you get past something like that? And for what reason? So that they could destroy the man who won the presidency? Think about that. I went from the White House to the S House, right? I can't say that on air, right?
That's a big move, man.
You think?
Yeah.
You think?
There's nothing bigger than that, Michael.
And when I say the S House, I'm not joking because I
Michael,
worked
tell us a
over at
little
the
bit
water
about
sewage
your,
plant
overall-
over at Otisville. All your clean water here in New York comes from up there, so you know.
Michael Cohen, tell
Thanks
us a
to
little
me.
bit more about for those who don't know, a little bit more about your overall background. Are you a lifelong New Yorker? Tell us about your education.
Yeah, I'm a lifelong New Yorker. I was born in Brooklyn. At the age of 2, we moved out to the 5 towns of Long Island. After that, went to college in Washington. I worked actually for Congressman Joe Moakley in 87 and 88. had a chance to even work on Michael Dukakis's presidential campaign.
I was there.
You know?
I was an intern in the summers of 87, 88, and 89 for Congressman Floyd Flake.
Oh, sure.
So in D.C. So we probably, people should know about summer interns in D.C. They have all these receptions. The think tanks and Congress has all these receptions with food and drinks. And congressmen show up just for the quick photo op and then they leave. The food is for the interns. I don't think I paid for one dinner every time that I was there. So I probably saw you.
I worked full time.
You were like a legislative assistant.
I was there. So
okay.
87 all the way through 88.
Okay.
And what was interesting is it gave me sort of a perspective on Washington, and it made me interested in politics. Suffice it to say, I then went to law school, came back in 1991, and I've been here in New York City ever since. I was fortunate enough, I had done very, very well, and I started buying up apartments, and I liked the Trump brand, and I liked the name. And so I started buying apartments in various different Trump buildings. Not only did I buy it for myself, but I bought it for my parents, my in-laws, friends. We took a gigantic block over at the Trump World Tower across the street from the United Nations. And that's really was my foray because there was an issue that erupted there. And I was able to resolve it for Mr. Trump, at the time, in a manner that he liked. I've been known to be somewhat rough and aggressive in my litigation and in my tactics. And he liked it because what they had done, talk about early on, people coming after him for no reason at all. They made allegations, the board, against him, which were unfounded. And I proved them to be unfounded by spending over 100 hours and going through thousands of invoices. It was a lie. And they were doing it in order to remove the Trump organization as management. Well, I bought in the building because of the Trump brand and Trump management.
And because you were such a good customer of Trump, is that the way you got to meet him originally?
Sure. And then it was really Don Jr. who made the intro because he was building my apartment. I had just moved from 87th Street to a different property, to a Trump property, and we were doing a combination. So Don was building the apartment. So he introduced me to his father, and he was like, I really appreciate what you did for me at 845. I have a different issue for you. I was like, okay, I'll handle it. So he went ahead, he gave it to me. We resolved that one.
And what year was that?
That was in 2005, 2006. And we handled that one very, very quickly. Again, in this style to which I've always been accustomed, which was somewhat rough.
Is that when you started to work with him as his personal attorney?
No, because then I was a partner over at the law firm of Phillips Nizer. And then he had another issue with Trump Entertainment Resorts, asked me to review a series of documents. I was like, what's the difference? Series of documents. He gives me 2 books, each one bigger than War and Peace. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So he goes, trust me, Michael, I guarantee you're going to be able to do it. You're going to do it just fine. You're going to be great. You're going to be great. And I go ahead and I do it. And I go through it. I couldn't find the hook. The hook drove me crazy. So I stayed up. Literally 40 hours going through this, not once, twice, and then I found the hook. I bring it to him in a memo. He turns around and he goes, don't bring me a memo. Just tell me. So I tell him, he goes, it's amazing, amazing. And we went together over to the GM building. He gave a butt whooping to this board and to their lawyers like I've never seen. And the whole time he's looking at me. John, you would know this because you know Trump pretty well. He gives you that look, that sort of that half cockeyed smile, where you know that it's almost like a mischievous child because he's got something, and he tore into them like I never saw anybody tear into a board, and they capitulated 100%. And he gave me that look, that silent look of approval, and that's when he asked me if I would come to work for him as executive vice president of the Trump Org and his special counsel, answering to no one other than him. He asked me, Michael, you know who Roy Cohen is? I said, actually, I do. I met him several times when I was a kid. So he goes, really? I said, yeah. So he said to me, you're going to be my new Roy. I said, I'm honored.
That's when you became the fixer?
I think I was the fixer before that.
Michael Cohen, for those of you who don't know, was the special counsel for Joseph McCarthy and was really the hammer for a lot of those investigations, some of which turned out to be completely true, some of which were a little stretched, but he was his hammer, that's for sure. Go ahead, Fernando.
Michael, do you think the country is more divided than ever today?
Absolutely. So
what's going on? Talk to me.
It's a phenomenon that I'm not a sociologist. I can't really understand the reason why. We're all Americans. I'm supposed to be as concerned for you and your family as you are for mine. We're supposed to want to lift one another up, but that's not what it's about. It's a kill or be killed mentality today. And that's the part that I want desperately this show to be speaking to. When you know. The tired majority. We are tired of the divisiveness. I don't ascribe to the far left, nor do I ascribe to the far right. I'm somewhere, and I've always been. Trump and I used to have this argument all the time. I used to say, I'm slightly left of center. I've been a Democrat my entire life. He goes, no, you're not. You're slightly right of center. I said, boss, I'm slightly left of center. So he goes, no. You're slightly right. Okay, whatever. You can't beat him in a conference. You cannot beat Donald Trump in an argument like that. So I said, fine,
Michael.
Right. But I'm still a Democrat.
Do you feel the media has treated you fairly?
No, not in the slightest. They have come up with their own narrative for my story. It's why I put out my first book, Disloyal, which became number one on the New York Times.
I read it.
Well, you didn't read the second book called Revenge.
I just need them autographed now.
I will get them for you.
Both of them.
Okay.
I
don't have the Disloyal, but I do have still a few of the Revenge. But put all that aside.
Maybe there'll be a second printing.
We could do that. John, would you help me with that?
Listen, the media treated you right. And secondly, now you have the power of the mic. Now you have the power to tell your story.
And I'm thankful to John Katsimatidis for that.
In the most possible, let me say it, John, please.
Go ahead.
In the most powerful radio station in the nation.
There you
go.
Most
listened to radio station in the nation. And I come on after you on No Excuses. And guess what? Now, we both have the power to defend ourselves because in many cases, I wasn't treated fairly by the press.
And both of you want a Monday through Friday gig, so that means somebody's going to lose.
Well, no. Well, listen, we can maybe do it together.
And Jake wants one.
We can do a trio. We can do a trio after Sid. Let's see whose ratings go up. Jake, Michael, Mateo.
Only me and Chad know.
After Sid.
Only me and Chad know what's going to happen.
Well, Chad's my buddy, man. Chad is the man.
Chad is the man.
Here's Chad.
When yesterday the story came out that I'm coming to WABC, it's really, truly interesting because it goes to your issue of divisiveness. I put out a statement in conjunction with John's statement, and I said, I'm thrilled to be joining WABC Radio, who wouldn't be, because it gives me something every truth teller needs, a megaphone. For too long, I've watched facts twisted, narratives manufactured, and misinformation repeated until people mistake it for reality. That's over. I'm bringing decades of firsthand experience, not all this nonsense that you hear from the side. Everybody's got an opinion. I'm bringing decades worth of firsthand experience, an unfiltered perspective, and a willingness to say what others won't. If the truth makes people uncomfortable, so be it. That's exactly why this platform matters. Well, you could only imagine when I put that out, some of the commentary that I got. Now, from some, and I write about it in my Substack of this morning. This is so crazy. From a husband and wife. This is what I woke up to after 4 a.m. Russell and Cynthia. I won't mention their last name because you're despicable people. But F you, Cohen. How much is Trump paying you now? Go F yourself. You're probably a pedophile. Pedophile protector, just like Trump is. You know exactly what Trump is because you worked for him. Go crawl back under his desk and take care of business. Russell and Cindy. Well, Russell and Cindy, let me turn around and thank you for that marvelous and well-written email this morning. But when you talk about divisiveness, this is exactly the point that I'm trying to... You cannot have an opinion that is yours unless it ascribes to a certain group. And the second you step over that line, this is what you get. I've received hundreds of thousands of these, over hundreds of thousands. It could be even millions. Some of them, it becomes too hard to even read.
Wow, you have thick skin, man. I've got to give it to you.
Yeah.
You've got thick skin. But when people stop writing the things they're writing to you, then you become irrelevant.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Okay.
All right, we're going to take a quick break right now, starting with the traffic from the Applebank traffic desk. We'll be back with Michael Cohen and Fernando Mateo in just a moment. Let you know right now, again, I want to let you know that there's a little bit of a confusing situation out there on the roads and the bridges and your rails this morning. Biggest thing I want you to know is that the Long Island Railroad is running on a weekday schedule today, even though it's a federal holiday. But Metro North is on a Sunday schedule. So
Did they just screw up? How did that happen?
No, they've done this before. I'm a longtime Long Island Railroad rider myself, so I'm just giving you the facts here, but they do this sometimes, especially when national holidays turn out to be a regular weekday. Metro North, however, is on a Sunday schedule. And to make things even more confusing, New Jersey Transit may have a bunch of delays on every single line because of the heat and the equipment yesterday. So make sure you know about that. Better news from the bridges and tunnels. They're all in good status right now. So if you're looking to get out a little bit early before the traffic gets a little heavier for the break, this is what you want to do. Maybe you want to go out now because things are looking really good, at least at the moment on that score. All right, traffic sponsored by Applebank. Now with its highest annual percentage yield this year on any 6 to 12 month CD. Visit your local Applebank to open today. Member FDIC. $25,000 minimum deposit required to open. New money only. Early withdrawal penalty may apply. We're going to be right back.